Hello everyone, my name is Steve. Let's talk crypto. This is where you subscribe to daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is April 8th, 2025. And it's now or never for altcoins. It's now or never for them to put in their moves to the upside so that they can get out of the way, because after Bitcoin makes its eventual move back up to the pink box, back up to the support level that it's lost in our distribution channel, then we see the real Black Monday. We see the real dump, right? That's been in the charts for a very long time. Guys, I'm going to talk about all that and more. If that sounds interesting to you, then watch until the very end. Hope everyone's having a great day. Let's get started with Bitcoin as per usual on the daily time frame this time. So, for quite some time, I've been talking about how we were in a B wave, and B waves are capricious. They're unpredictable. There are certain parameters that they respect, but within those parameters, you can see a plethora of expressions of the B wave. And right now, we have one such flat correction that we're experiencing, right? And I've drawn it up like this. So let's start off with the outermost vision of this B wave, okay? So we have, once again, our A wave of a zigzag, which is our initial drawdown, our initial break of structure out of this 100+ day distribution channel, right? If this is an A wave, the ensuing wave is going to be called a B wave. This is what we call a B wave, and this is what I've drawn in right here. This is what we call in Elliott wave analysis a flat correction, an ABC flat correction, okay? Now, if you look at this, you'll see, hey, Dean, there's a lot more going on there than just the three waves that you drew. Precisely. Now, think Russian dolls. We can break it down because every single wave theoretically is made up of a smaller version of three corrective waves, okay? So when you see this ABC flat correction, each component is also made up, the A and the B components rather, not the C components. The C component is typically just an impulse, okay? But the A and B component at the very least are made up of three smaller components, and it's a fractal thing, so it goes on and on and on and on and on. I forget the word I'm looking for. It's iterative. Anyway, so you can see here you have, let's drop down on the 4-hourly time frame to better illustrate this. And I don't want to confuse anybody. I don't want to be pedantic, but I just want everybody to be able to see what I'm seeing on the charts and why it makes sense, okay? So you have your initial break of structure here. And that is my A wave, again, composed on the smaller time frame of three waves. Now, you can see this B wave is composed, the first wave of the B wave is in and of itself is a three-wave move. This is a three-wave move, and this is some type of three-wave move, some type of impulse. It's more of a type of impulse, but do you see that? This is the conclusion of the B wave of the B wave, okay? And now this is the recovery into the C wave, the final wave up that we've been waiting for, to our lost support in the pink box around 93, 94, 95, 96K, thereabouts, okay? So that's what we're looking for. That's the move we're looking for. And again, the trade thesis on this channel has been the same for a while now. As Bitcoin matriculates back up to this lost support, now turned into new resistance, altcoins will take this time to beat Bitcoin out, to move off of their lows in such a way that the ensuing drop has them coming from a much higher place, because they can ill afford to make lower lows, because most altcoins in the cryptocurrency market are already at their bear market lows. They can't go any lower. They're literally at the lowest of the lowest of the low, which is why your portfolio looks like it looks. Because you haven't, on the most part, for the most part, you have not experienced any gains in the bull market. There has yet to be a bull market, and this is a different discussion, different video altogether, but the bull market hasn't even started, even in Bitcoin. Yes, even in Bitcoin. Again, that's another video for another day. But it's quite clear that the bull market is yet to start in altcoins. Look at Ethereum, right? Look at a lot of major altcoins like Litecoin. Look at a lot of these altcoins and what they have done or what they haven't done. And then it's quite clear. So before Bitcoin makes its move back down here to a very likely level of support between 65 and 70K, altcoins have to move big. And this is what we've been waiting for. This is what is, it's now or never for that initial move of alt season 2025. This is what we're going to talk about, okay? So again, we looked at how this is some sort of flat correction, and again, it's hard to say exactly how it's going to look like. That's the difficulty in corrective price action, but you approach it from the vantage of knowing that you're looking at complex price action. You're looking at corrective price action. It's going to go one of many ways, but generally speaking, you're looking for some type of flat correction here. A, B, C. If it fits the bill, your trade thesis is still valid. I hope everybody understands that. I hope it's not like, oh, you're making excuses. No, I've said from time and time again, we're looking at complex price action, corrective price action, the nature of which is capricious, the nature of which is unpredictable, as long as it respects certain precepts, like the fact that you're getting, a flat correction, the fact that it's within a few standard deviations of the initial breaks, yada yada, you're fine. And right now, we're fine. We had that Black Sunday, if you want to call it, move down. It has not violated our trade thesis, in case you're wondering. All right? So that's Bitcoin. Nothing really to write home about in Bitcoin. Let's first look at Bitcoin dominance. For those of you who don't know, Bitcoin dominance is a measure of Bitcoin's dominance vis-a-vis the altcoin space. So if Bitcoin dominance is going up, as it has been for the past few years, as you can see on the weekly time frame, this chart clearly shows that Bitcoin dominance has been going up strong since August of 2022. Okay, that basically means that Bitcoin's beating altcoins in market cap gains. So that means either Bitcoin's going down and altcoins are going down more, or Bitcoin's going up and altcoins aren't doing much of anything but staying stagnant. Okay, this is what we've been experiencing in the cryptocurrency space since August of 2022. Okay, almost 3 years of incessant altcoin losses, altcoin pain. Okay, holding altcoins has been painful according to this chart and your portfolio, I'm sure. Now, if you look, we seem to be at a macro top. Okay, a few macro tops. Let me say it, because I don't show this too much. Let me show it this time. All right, look, first you have this massive resistance, okay, of almost 3,000 days. As you can see by the dotted line here, every single time Bitcoin dominance hits this level, you get a big move down. We've had 3 such major big moves down. Those are the 3 major alt seasons that we've experienced in cryptocurrency. The first of which was in March of 17, the second of which was in December of 20, and then this one, which should be actually bigger than the previous 2, because What we should get here is a break of this base, okay? And that's another video for another day, because we can really go into the weeds as to why I'm not expecting a bounce up here, right? I'm expecting that 1, 2, 3 touches on the resistance, you finally get a break, okay? So this is why I'm expecting one of the biggest, if not the biggest, alt season yet. What does that mean? Your altcoins that you're investing in are going to make impressive to unbelievable gains, okay? This is what this chart is saying. Again, I can give the full, more sort of in-depth analysis as to why I posit that this happens and we don't necessarily find support on this level, but that's another video for another day. I don't want to make these too long. Let's focus on the top here, this top resistance, and why this is a top. Again, you have this almost 3,000 day resistance here. Also, you can see here, just looking at the price action, and this is what we're going to focus on. So we're going to zoom in to the daily time frame. You can see that you're putting in a macro top given the nature of the candlesticks. So this is candlestick trading 101. When you see a big wick to the upside, that's what we call a doji candle, okay? A doji candle has a very long wick and a small body. That long wick, it denotes strong selling pressure. So based off of the price, let's say it's a price. We know this is an indicator, but let's just say price for ease of discussion. The price gets to a certain level, quickly sellers step in and sellers sell off within the candle body. Candle bodies designate a time frame. So if we're on the daily time frame, that means each candle represents 1 day's worth of price action, 1 day's worth of trading. Okay, so in the same day that you took to get up, traders didn't wait for the close of the market. They didn't wait and sleep on it and whatever. Immediately, once you got to a certain level, they sold off. They sold off. Okay, that shows strong selling pressure. That's how you get a doji candle on any time frame. All right, that's your first. Now, typically when you get these, you get a retest, either in the form of a flat correction or in the form of a zigzag. Last time I was on here with you, I was talking about how this was more likely than not going to be a zigzag given what I had seen here and the fact that we had been respecting the phi ratio, the 0.5 to 0.618 Fibonacci retracement of this move down. But what happened since then? We've moved up. Does that invalidate the whole thesis? No, it only invalidates the retracement being a zigzag. Now it's a flat correction. So if you pull your Fibonacci from the top here to the bottom here, that would be your orthodox low right here, not here, but here. You can see that the 0.786, which is the minimum retracement for a flat correction according to Elliott wave thesis, that has been satisfied. And now you get another doji candle. So this is what we expect. This also coincides with our stochastic RSI momentum indicator showing overbought nature of price action. I know this is an indicator, but again, for ease of discussion, we're overbought on the daily time frame. We're overbought on the weekly time frame. Yes, overbought on the weekly time frame, overbought on the daily time frame. It means that we should more likely than not experience a move down for that price, or I say price, but for that momentum indicator to come back down. Okay, so on the smaller time frames, just coming down to the 4 hourly, you can see here we have a bit of retesting to do. So I would expect a swift move back up here before a move down, probably 1 or 2 more. Okay, but this is essentially the big indication that will confirm altcoins starting their initial move that we've been looking for. Okay, a big break to the downside of this Bitcoin dominance chart. Okay, So that's Bitcoin dominance. Now, you can see this more directly on the total 3 market cap chart. So last time we looked at Ethereum, but now today I want to look at the the crypto total 3. And the total 3 is what? It's all of the crypto market minus Bitcoin minus Ethereum. That's the total 3. So it's indicative of the altcoin market at large minus the biggest altcoin in the space, which is Ethereum. Okay, for those of you who may not be familiar with this chart, let me just give you a quick run through on the highest time frames. What are we looking at here? Well, we're looking at an inverse head and shoulders bullish reversal pattern, as you can see here in red, very clear. And this denotes a strong reversal of trend, okay? And the reversal is the reversal of this trend, right? A, B, C. That's your bear market declension. That's your bear market accumulation. That's the head of the inverse head and shoulders. That's the initial move out. That's the retest. Move out of the inverse head and shoulders. This is your quintessential bull flag retest of the head and shoulders. Okay? So if you're bearish on altcoins, I would highly suggest that you study this chart, the total 3, because it's clear as day. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Look at this once again. It's clear as day, it's incontrovertible. You have your inverse head and shoulders. It's quite easy to see. It's quintessential head right there. It's rounded. You have your left and your right shoulder, okay? Now, you have a breakout. This is a confirmation. When you get a breakout of something, you get a confirmation. That's actually step 1. You have 2 steps, a 2-step confirmation, just like a 2-factor authentication. In trading, there's a 2-step authentication confirmation of a pattern. The first is the breakout. You got that breakout. That occurred in November of last year, okay? Now, if it's a fake out, if it's not confirmed, what you get is a swing failure pattern. So then it means that you may have spotted something that you thought was a certain pattern, but it wasn't because it failed. The failure is that it doesn't hold, okay? And when I say it doesn't hold, I'm referring to the neckline, okay? And the neckline, again, technically speaking, can be represented or should be represented by a level, not a line. You're dealing with levels here, levels of price, levels. So ideally, you would represent that with a rectangle and not necessarily a line, but for ease of discussion, we typically represent levels on charts with lines of support and lines of resistance, okay? So that was your first step of confirmation. This is your second. And not only did you confirm it with one move down, right? A lot of times you can see confirmations of these patterns. You get a breakout and then you get a move down, and people are like, "Ooh, yeah, that's it." When in actuality, in real life, in the wild, you typically get a compound retest. But in the best sense, the most confidence inspiring version of a retest is what you see on this chart. This is why I say, if you're bearish on altcoins, study this chart. And don't take my word for it. Go on Investopedia and look it up. This neckline is being retested by not just one move, but an entire system, which is called a bull flag rather. Okay, and so you have your breakout in November of 2024, followed up by a flag, which we call a bull flag, if and when it eventually breaks out, and it gives the breakout that typically is the height, or the height, the length rather, of the flag pole superimposed from the flag. So something like this, yeah, ish. So this is what we're looking for. And if you look, that would be more or less, no, never mind. In any case, this is really good. I wanted to go somewhere else with that, but let's just stay focused. So the idea is that you're bullishly retesting the neckline of, I think it's 1,000 days here. This inverse head and shoulders. Yeah, 1,000 days with a bull flag. And this bull flag, to boot, is retesting support 3 times. What do we know about a 3-part retest, right? So you go with a really strong, we talked about doji candles earlier. This is called a bullish hammer candle, okay? Where the wick, it's exactly the opposite of what I discussed earlier in the video, where the wick is so strong, the buying pressure is so strong that within that same candle close, buyer stepped in, making a long wick to the downside. That shows very strong buying pressure. So you created that once, twice, 3 times. 3 times is typically a charm. You look at corrective price action, you look at corrective price action, you look at most patterns, they come in flavors of 3 in technical analysis. So you have this 1, 2, 3-part retest. This is why it's now or never. On so many levels, it's now or never. We're looking for that first move up and out for altcoins, taking you and matriculating up and through to the eventual target of this inverse head and shoulders, which should be, let's go back on the weekly, the top of this larger channel right here. Okay, this is where we would eventually go, but I don't necessarily think that we get there. I mean, I don't know, to be honest, but I don't think we necessarily get here before Bitcoin decides to dump. We could, but we at least get high enough whereby when Bitcoin finally decides to move down to 65 to 70K, we're making a higher low. I hope that makes sense. It's not too confusing. But again, if you're bearish on altcoins, study this chart, the total 3. Study particularly how we've created an inverse head and shoulders with 1,000-day neckline. And in November of 24, we confirmed that in 2 parts. 1 with the November 24 breakout, and 2 with the current retest in the form of a bull flag. All right, that's it for me, guys. I hope this was helpful. I hope this was useful. Like, share, and subscribe. If you got value, consider tipping me by sending me Litecoin. That's the best because they don't eat up fees. Litecoin's very easy to use. I get it immediately. Or sending me a tip on buy me a coffee. They're all right. Or sending me a Cash App or a Venmo. All at the pinned comment below, and do consider my crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation service, where I help you balance your portfolio for up to 5 altcoins and choose altcoins that are actually going to move in the bull market. Not every single altcoins of the tens of thousands of altcoins in the cryptocurrency space are going to move. That's just a fact. And it's not so much to do with their popularity. That's a great misconception. So I look into that with you, and I give you one-on-one time every month, up to 2 hours, and we go over targets, where to sell and where to buy for each and every one of those altcoins. Guys, hope this was good, and I hope you're well and well positioned. It's been extremely difficult to be involved in cryptocurrency for the better part of 3+ years. Okay, not just 3 years, 3+ years. So yeah, I hope you experience some gains in the immediate short term, and obviously in the longer term. And yeah, stay in there. We're literally almost there.
Seems
right,
awake in the days while the world spins without me. Arrived at the fork in the road, could turn back, repeat the same story, or march forward and embrace change and reflect upon His glory. I'm a selfish man, therein lies the whole problem. Torn between my actions and the will of my heart. I had to take it all apart to see where I stood as a man, to depart from this world and leave it in His hands. Come on.
Yes, y'all. Don't stop. looks like I'm heading for the gold, y'all. Touring on a pothole road, y'all. I get it even if I didn't fit in, winning right up to the end and like I didn't even know, y'all. I have pop's genetics, working hard never to get it, like shit I betted on letting life get the best of my efforts. Instead I dedicated to bettering my steps, measuring investments, watch me do it to the death, y'all. Run it.